Homie dogs. Okay, so yesterday I was gonna finish and post the custom skateboard that I'm making. If you remember a few days ago, I posted about a blue board that I have, and I asked for suggestions of what I should put on there. A lot of awesome suggestions, and I made a decision. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet because I started on it, but I'm not done. I was going to finish it and post it yesterday, and then I went to do like an intro, and as soon as I hit record, I started thinking about Chester Bennington. So, I kind of ramble at the beginning of that video because it was just kind of hitting me, right at the moment. So I went ahead and I made that custom Lincoln Park board. If you haven't seen that, check it out. I love it. It's totally awesome. But today what I thought I would do was make a video about some of my favorite movies, because a lot of times people ask me this. And while I was thinking about doing that, I thought, well, wait a minute, I did that last year, and I went and I looked, and it was almost, it's one day short of being exactly a year ago that I posted that video, and it has 30 views. So what I'm going to do is just post that exact same video right here following myself talking, and you guys can see what a lot of my favorite movies are. That'll also save me a little bit of time today because I need to get things ready and get started back on this other custom deck. I can't wait for you guys to see it. It's going to be so awesome. So yeah, go ahead and watch this video here if you guys are interested in what some of my favorite movies are. I get that question so often that I was really surprised to see that the video only had 30 views. So enjoy this video, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace. I thought that I would tell you guys some of my favorite movies. Now, I got a whole stack of them over here. I have hundreds upon hundreds of movies, so it was really difficult to pick out my favorites because, basically they're all my favorites. But I did want to share some of them with you. So, let's see. Well, these are in no particular order. But, first, Spaceballs. You cannot go wrong with Spaceballs. I think the first time I saw this movie, I thought it was so stupid. And it actually is, but that's what makes it so hilarious. And I could be wrong, but it seems that I heard recently that there is a remake or a Spaceballs 2 or something that might be coming out. So that would be pretty interesting, but this movie is hilarious. I remember we even watched this movie on our last day of school when I was, I think I might have been a senior, and we watched this movie. And honestly, I would not put it past myself to have gone to school that day strictly because I knew we were going to watch this movie. Because otherwise, I'd have just skipped. I graduated with a 1.8. I didn't care. So, Spaceballs may have got me there the last day of school. Next, Scream. Now, this is the entire Scream, this is the trilogy. This does not have part 4 on it, but this does have 3 extra discs or something that has all this extra stuff. I just love the Scream movies. I think they were just perfect, man. I'm a big horror movie fanatic, and I don't know. I love them. I think they were all well done. I remember when I saw the first one, it was on VHS. I had not even heard about it, and somebody at work told me about it, and so I came home, we rented it, and my wife and I sat there and watched it in the dark living room, and I was scared to open the door after the movie because I had to go to the bathroom, and it's great. It's perfect. I love Scream. Now, this is possibly my favorite movie of all times, okay? Some of you may understand this, some of you may not, but The Legend of Billie Jean. This movie is awesome. I love this movie. If you haven't seen it, rent it, buy it, whatever you gotta do. I don't even think you can rent it anymore, but The Legend of Billie Jean. Helen Slater and Christian Slater. No, they're not brother and sister, but that's just how it happened with this movie, and I don't even want to tell you the story. It would just take too long because I have too many movies I want to show you. But The Legend of Billie Jean, man. So awesome. I love this movie. Okay, next we got Joe Dirt. This one is a given. I love Joe Dirt. David Spade is so awesome and hilarious. Joe Dirt 2 pretty much sucked. I couldn't even sit through the whole thing, to be honest with you. They basically tried to repeat a lot of the jokes from the first one, and then they took it way too far. But the original Joe Dirt, hilarious movie. I'm going to save that one for last. Fright Night is another one of the scary movies that I absolutely love. Now, this is the original one. It seems that I saw the second one, the remake, but the original is just, I love it. I absolutely love it. In fact, there is a documentary coming out about Fright Night, and I am an associate producer on it. Now, to be quite honest with you, all I had to do to become an associate producer on that film was give them some money. I donated to their Kickstarter, and I did it at the associate producer level. I don't even remember how much it was. It was probably a pretty penny, but I get my name on the poster and on the IMDb site and things like that. So I thought it was really cool, because I just love this movie, and I love to be, I love that I'm going to be able to be a part of that documentary. The documentary is called You're So Cool, Brewster. I think that's what it's called. I might have it a little backwards, but that's what it's called if you want to look it up. It's not out yet, but it should be out soon. And when it comes out, I'll have that poster up there with my name on it. Kick-Ass. I love Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass 2, I did not like. In Kick-Ass 1, if you guys haven't seen it, it's basically just about this kid, these kids who are like comic book nerds, basically. And they're kind of like, why hasn't anybody ever tried to be a real superhero? And the main character, he goes and becomes a superhero. Well, he realizes that there are other people who are dressing up like superheroes and killing people and stuff like that. And I kind of didn't really like where the storyline went. I loved that the main character, Dave, took it upon himself to find an outfit, even though it was so corny, and dress up and go out and start fighting crime, you know, as a superhero. I didn't really like how it took a turn, and it got where the movie became, I don't know, I don't even know how to explain it. I don't want to ruin it for anybody if you haven't seen it, but I just liked the original idea of the kid just throwing on a suit and being a superhero. But nonetheless, the whole movie is really good. I just didn't like the turn that it took. I didn't think it was necessary for it to be a good movie. So, Kick-Ass. Next, we got Wedding Crashers. This movie is so hilarious. I remember seeing this movie in the theater, and I don't think I have ever laughed so hard in a movie theater at any other movie but Wedding Crashers. This movie is so hilarious. I love documentaries. This one is called Paradise Lost, if you can see that. It's about these 3 little boys who were killed in, I believe it was Arkansas. It's been a little while since I watched this one. 3 little boys who were killed, and then these 3 teenagers, they had absolutely no leads whatsoever of who may have done it. So they took these 3 teenagers who, like, dressed in black and wandered around town all the time and listened to Metallica and stuff like that, and they pinned it on them. They said that it was like a Satan worship thing, you know, and they pinned it on these 3 guys. And these 3 guys went to prison. The one was on death row. And I won't tell you any more than that. If you want to look it up, you can look up the West Memphis 3 on Google, and you can read all about them. Like I said, I'm not going to give you any more information from that in case you haven't seen it, because I don't want to ruin it. But this documentary was really, really good. Commando. I used to be a huge Arnold Schwarzenegger fan. And, I mean, I was into bodybuilding, and I used to buy all his books, his magazines, anytime he was on the cover. I bought every one of his movies. I went and met him one time in Columbus. And, in fact, this is kind of a funny story. When I was in Columbus at his bodybuilding show, he was walking through the area there, the fitness expo, and pardon me, even though I knew it wasn't allowed at the time, I stepped out in front of him and handed him something to sign for me, a photo with a marker, and his security guard full-on tackled me. It was awesome. I mean, it wasn't awesome to feel that, getting tackled by a giant security guard, but who else can say they got tackled by Arnold Schwarzenegger's bodyguard? So, I didn't get the signature, but I did get tackled by his bodyguard. That was sweet. Dance Flick. This movie is another hilarious comedy. It's just making fun of all these movies like Step Up to the Streets and You Got Served and things like that. But it's a Wayans Brothers movie. Wayans Brothers are hilarious. You've got to see this movie, Dance Flick. Dennis the Menace. This is, when my kids were little, we started doing this thing every Saturday night called Saturday Night Snack and a Movie. And Dennis the Menace is the first movie we watched during our very first Saturday Night Snack and a Movie. Now, what we first started doing was, we started filming it and making it kind of like one of those things that you see on TV, you know, that would be called something like Saturday Night Snack and a Movie, where we basically host the movie. And we filmed it, and we made a whole thing out of it. But then it kind of turns out to be like, why did we do that? You know, there was no point to it. We weren't showing it to anybody, so we never did that again. But every Saturday night, we did get tons of snacks. We spent like the whole week looking forward to it. Saturday morning, we would go out and buy like t-shirts and t-shirt transfers. We'd come home and we would tie-dye the shirts, then we would wash them and dry them, and then we would make transfers for like The Incredibles or whatever movie we were going to watch that night. We'd make popcorn and get candy and all kinds of stuff and just have a blast. Everybody'd bring their blankets and everything out into the living room, and we'd watch 2-3 movies. It'd be great. Every Saturday night, it was really something awesome to look forward to. If you have kids, I highly recommend doing something like that. You know, they just all loved it, including myself, and it was something that we could look forward to the entire week, and it made the entire week a little bit easier knowing that that was coming up. Fight Club. Brad Pitt and Edward Norton, two of the best actors, and in this movie, just phenomenal. Edward Norton, he is just such an incredible actor. He's one that you don't really hear a lot about, but he is so good. And I can't imagine there's any of you who've not seen Fight Club, but I'm not going to give it away, just like the others. But you've got to see it. You've got to see this movie if you haven't. Another Christian Slater, Pump Up the Volume, and this is again from the 80s. In this movie, he is basically like a radio DJ, but on his own wavelength. He's doing it illegally. He doesn't even know if people are listening, but it turns out that the whole high school is. They're following on every word he says. This movie was so inspiring to me and made me want to be some kind of a radio DJ or something like that, which I've never done. I've done a couple of podcasts. I tried it. And even though they sounded good, and I think they came out really good, I don't know, I don't really have the interest in doing that, although I definitely would be interested in being a DJ, playing music and things like that, but to do it on the internet, there are so many hoops to jump through, and it's just crazy. So I kind of toss that away. I like YouTube better. But Pump Up the Volume with Christian Slater, it's a really good movie. And if you've never seen it before, remember, it was made in the 80s, just like Legend of Billie Jean and a couple other ones I've shown you. You've got to put yourself in the 80s mindset, or else you're going to watch it and go, what the hell was he talking about? Okay, I've got 3 more. Sean Penn, Bad Boys. Now, there is another movie called Bad Boys that has Will Smith in it. That is not this. This is Bad Boys with Sean Penn, and this movie, I don't even remember what year this movie was. 1983, I think. It's another 80s movie. And Sean Penn is just a bad kid. And he's living in this city. He ends up going to this, it's not really prison, it's like a jail for younger kids. And he gets in these fights. He beats the hell out of these guys with a pillowcase full of pop. Like cans of pop. It's crazy. Great movie. You gotta see it. Beverly Hills Ninja. Chris, Farley. This movie is just absolutely one of my favorites. It's so hilarious. Chris Rock is in it as well, if you haven't seen it. And as we all know, Chris Farley passed away, so there will never be another one of these. And it's absolutely hilarious. It's like that slapstick humor. So it's so dumb that it's hilarious. And the very last one I'll show you is one that I get laughed at by my kids a lot. And there's a bunch of them like that. Because I have such a wide variety of taste when it comes to movies. But here we go. Ella Enchanted. I remember when Scooby-Doo Part 2 came out. It was at the theater, and Ella Enchanted was at the theater as well. We were going to see Scooby-Doo 2, and I kept saying Ella Enchanted, because I wanted to see Ella Enchanted so bad. And it's Anne Hathaway, and it's one of these movies that's like all about like adventure, fairy tales and adventure, and I don't get into like, the fairies and the Cinderella and stuff like that. But this movie is really good. It's really enjoyable. It's really put together well, and it's something a little girl would like, but I absolutely love it. I think it's an awesome movie. It's a great adventure movie. And it's really, really creative with the characters and everything. So, and just the whole story. Basically, Ella Enchanted, she gets this gift given to her by her fairy godmother, the gift of obedience. And it turns out to be not necessarily a gift, because she has to do what she's told. So she has to keep it a secret, and then eventually some people figure it out. And they take advantage of her. So, just a really good movie. I know you guys are probably thinking, what the hell is wrong with this guy? But Ella Enchanted, one of my favorite movies of all time. So, that's it, guys. I'm going to leave it at that today. Just a good handful of movies that I absolutely love. I have plenty more, and I'll probably do this again one day. But if there's any of those movies that you haven't seen, go out and get them and see them. Check it out on eBay. You can get DVDs so cheap on eBay right now. Or hell, keep an eye out at what is it, Goodwill. You can get DVDs for like $1 a piece. So, alright guys, I'm going to go change my poster up here, and I'm going to hit the road. I got a lot of stuff to do today. I will see you later. Peace.